Survivor is a game where you can lie, cheat, and steal your way to the end to earn yourself the title of Sole Survivor and the prize of $1 million. However, there are still strict guidelines that every individual has to follow throughout their duration on the island. This is Analytical Strategy, and today I want to touch upon 10 times contestants have not abided by the Survivor regulations and therefore have broken the rules of playing the game of Survivor. Now, a lot of these situations are heavily rumoured, as they did not make the final edit of the show. Some of these rumours have been confirmed to be 100% true, while some of them there is still debate and some grey areas about what really happened on the island. Nonetheless, they are very interesting stories to dive into, so without further ado, let's get into it. So firstly, I'm just going to touch upon a rumour that occurred within Survivor Nicaragua, and this is where Sash apparently approached Jane to assist in paying off her mortgage if she could convince the jury to send votes his way. Now, there is speculation that none of the contestants voted for Sash for this reason, or the production made it clear that no one could vote for Sash due to him breaking the rules of the game. Now, I believe Marty mentioned in a later interview that this was not the case at all, and he received no votes purely as no one respected his gameplay. But again, it is a difficult one to unwind without this being present at all in the edit. So it does go back to a little bit of he said, she said, and we will likely never know the complete story. Now, if this rumour is true, then I feel like Sash probably would have gotten a worse edit than he did this season. But again, ultimately, I don't think we will ever be able to know this without any certainty. So next up, we begin the first of a few cases of contestants attempting to smuggle something into the game to assist with their survival. And to me, the best of them all was PG in Survivor Cambodia, who should be called P-Genius after I heard this attempt. PG basically designed her whole outfit to include an array of different things that could assist her and her tribe in the survival aspect of Survivor. Firstly, she wore a handmade cardigan with, I believe, what looked like to be a button made out of flint, which she concealed with twine, which could have been used also for kindling within the game. She also made a necklace which contained components of flint, as well as fishing weights, which I believe didn't pass and was found to be having these items prior to filming. Not only that, she also wore earrings which could have been used as fishhooks. Honestly, this has to be the greatest effort of bringing in banned items. Apparently the producers wanted to show the scene where they confiscated the flint, but couldn't in the case it influenced more contestants to attempt to smuggle items in the future. Now, I am not an advocate of breaking the rules of the game, but I definitely do have to commend PG for this effort. A remarkable attempt, there is no question about that. So speaking of smuggling in items, there is also the first winner of Survivor, and that is Richard Hatch, and a theory of him putting matches in a container and then putting them in his butt to take into the island to assist in starting a fire in Survivor All-Stars. Now, Hatch made a video on this theory on his own channel, but ultimately he left it open-ended as he wanted to keep the audience thinking. But this takes me back to a confessional of him in All Stars, where he said something along the lines of, "I'm enjoying watching them try to make fire. I could do it anytime I wanted to, but it's fun to watch them suffer, and they'll be more thankful for me when I help them out." Now, this line is pure gold if he was referring to being able to start the fire with matches, and although I don't know for certainty if this was true or not, I would lean towards it being highly likely. So another case of smuggling an item into Survivor goes all the way back to Season 2, Survivor The Australian Outback, and the infamous case of Cal smuggling in beef jerky into the game. Now, the edit of the show was clearly trying to make Jerry look like the villain of this season by outing Cal because she thought she saw him eat some beef jerky. But from what I've heard post-show, everyone on the tribe also believed it, as did Jeff Probst. I think this story was also a way of production contrasting Tina's persona from Jerry, by Tina later claiming she regretted going through Cal's belongings to check if anything was present, while Jerry had no regrets. I also heard that Cal was in the military and was trained to sew items into his clothes, and was apparently stopped a couple of times during customs at the airport on the way to filming for smuggling beef jerky there as well. Cal claimed he was just eating a blade of grass once he was confronted. So whilst it hasn't been 100% confirmed that this story is completely true, the evidence strongly suggests that Cal is guilty of bringing this food into the game. So an additional case of suggested food smuggling in Survivor was not long afterwards in Survivor the Amazon, with the case of the granola bar found in the woman's tribe's communal crate. They put all their belongings in this communal box to protect it all from the rain. And when they took it all out, they stumbled upon this half-eaten granola bar and wrapper, which they automatically put in the fire. The women all automatically put the target on Janet due to this, which ultimately cost her her position in the game. Now, I have read a few times that apparently there was also one at the males tribe camp, which Alex found, and it was not shown in the edit as it wasn't as big of a deal to their camp overall, which strongly suggests that this was a plant by production to stir up the game, or it was left there by accident and then they had to even it out on the other tribe as well. So in this circumstance, no, I do not believe that Janet did smuggle anything into the game. If this was a plant by production, I am not at all a fan of them getting involved and may have cost Janet her spot on the tribe. So given this was an earlier season of the show, I'm sure they were just trying to mix it up a bit, but I'm glad this hasn't been a continuous theme over time. So the next couple of instances of rule breaking wasn't from smuggling food into the game, but from stealing food from production once they were present on the island. So the first case I'll discuss was from Wu within Survivor Cagayan, appropriately titled Weasel Wu after this instance occurred. We've seen in a couple of post-game interviews how Wu obtained this nickname on the island. Firstly, Jeffra said he was running around like a weasel doing whatever Tony wanted him to do. This was further expanded upon by Trish, saying he did some things that were not shown on camera, that she was unable to go into specifically, that led her to believe that he was untrustworthy. And finally, Spencer added to this by stating that when Sarah began to explain to him why Wu was untrustworthy at camp, it got completely shut down by production, and again he was not able to elaborate on this any further within the interview. Now apparently the nickname firstly started by Wu sneaking into a production tent to steal food and drink, followed by other similar events, such as taking a cameraman's hydration system and drinking the entire contents of it. It was not a coincidence Wu obtained this nickname on the show, but it was well hidden by production with him getting a great edit and coming back to play again in Survivor Cambodia. So apparently another case of this occurred in another extremely popular Survivor season, Survivor Micronesia, with 3 castaways in James, Alexis and Eric, all also being caught for stealing food from the production camp. Now it is understandable production has wanted to keep these incidents under wraps so it does not affect the authenticity of the game, but it was bound to come out in time. Also, whilst highly likely just to be a coincidence, it is also interesting to note that James, Alexis and Eric all went home back to back to back. Now maybe this was an additional part of Eric's redeeming himself vote that the Black Widow Brigade could have played on his mind a little bit more to convince him to give up that necklace, but we will never ever know. The next 2 rule breaks I'm going to talk about actually regard belongings of contestants, with the first occurring within Survivor One World. We all saw there was some really negative behaviour from Colton to Bill this season, causing them to have a really rocky relationship to put it politely. What we didn't see was a absolutely baller move by Bill in retaliation to Colton, in digging up his hidden immunity idol and throwing it in the ocean. Unfortunately, this was a violation of the Survivor rules, with the hidden immunity idol technically being Colton's property, and you are unable to steal from others. Leaf let Colton know and production gave Colton a new identical idol in its place. So in addition to this, we must also expand upon the not stealing of other people's belongings, but also the damaging of others' belongings. I'm sure in the rules you would not be able to damage other people's personal items, yet we have seen Russell burn people's socks, Sandra burn Russell's hat in the fire, and Holly put Dan's $1,600 alligator shoes at the bottom of the ocean. It is really surprising production did not intervene with these moments, as I'm sure they are against the rules, but they do also make for great TV, so they are probably conflicted about which way to go. And finally, we have the very first person kicked out of a challenge in Survivor in Ben the Outlaw Baby from Survivor Samoa. It was in the brutal challenge of the Schmergen Brawl, where castaways competed for 3 balls to shoot into a basket at the opposing end of the arena. Halfway through the challenge, Jeff observed that it was on the edge of turning ugly, and clearly stated that anything resembling a cheap shot, whether that be a choke, a slap, a trip or anything, you would be thrown out of the challenge. Moments later, we saw Ben kick Russell Swan in the back of the legs and deliberately trip him up, causing him to get kicked out and for his tribe to be down 1 member for the rest of the challenge. Now this is one of the cases where a clear violation of the rules was shown on our TV screens. So what do you all think of contestants breaking rules in the game? What other contestants have broken rules that you are aware of that were not featured in this video? Please let me know down in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe with more Survivor videos coming each and every week. This is Analytical Strategy and we are signing out once again. I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.